In the heart of a bustling city, where skyscrapers loomed like giants over crowded streets and life moved at breakneck speed, there lived a woman named Sarah. She was no different from thousands of others who walked those same sidewalks every day, except for one thing. Her story wasn't just about survival, it was about hope against all odds. Sarah had once been like anyone else with dreams, plans, and a steady job. But fate had other ideas. A series of unfortunate events, a sudden layoff, mounting medical, bills after her son Ethan's birth, and an eviction notice had left her homeless. Now she wandered through the city with nothing but her infant son, Ethan, tucked safely in his stroller. Sarah pushed the stroller along cracked pavements littered with trash, dodging hurried pedestrians who barely noticed her existence. People often looked away when they saw her, pretending not to see the exhaustion etched into her face or the way her clothes hung loosely on her thin frame. But Sarah didn't care what others thought anymore. All that mattered was keeping Ethan safe and alive. Despite everything she'd lost, her love for her baby gave her strength. It fueled her determination to keep going, even when the world seemed determined to push her down. Every morning started the same way. After finding a quiet corner to rest during the night, Sarah would wake up before dawn, wrap Ethan tightly in his blanket, and set off in search of food or shelter. On this particular morning, however, something felt different. The air was unusually still, almost heavy, as if the entire city were holding its breath. As she made her way toward the park, a place she frequented because it offered some semblance of peace, she noticed something strange happening ahead. A large crowd had gathered near the intersection, their faces tilted upward, staring at the sky. Curiosity tugged at Sarah, though caution kept her steps slow and deliberate. She approached cautiously, weaving between people until she could get a better view. At first glance, it looked like nothing more than an odd cloud formation hovering above the buildings. But then, the ground beneath her feet trembled ever so slightly, sending a ripple of unease through the crowd. A low hum filled the air, growing louder with each passing second. Without warning, the clouds parted dramatically, revealing massive alien ships suspended ominously above the city. They were unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Towering structures shaped like jagged mountains, glowing faintly with an eerie blue light. Panic erupted instantly. People screamed, cars screeched to a halt, and chaos consumed the streets. Some ran blindly, while others stood frozen, gaping at the sight above them. Mothers clutched their children tightly, shielding them from whatever might come next. Men shouted into phones, trying desperately to reach loved ones or authorities who could explain what was happening. No one knew what these ships were or why they were here. Were they friends? Enemies? Or something entirely beyond human comprehension? Sarah froze momentarily, clutching Ethan close to her chest. Her mind raced as she tried to process the impossible scene unfolding before her eyes. What did this mean? Was this the end of the world? For a moment, fear paralyzed her. Then, instinct kicked in. She turned the stroller around, intending to flee from the impending danger. But as she began moving, she heard a mechanical whirring sound growing louder behind her. Turning back, she saw one of the smaller alien drones descending rapidly toward the crowd. It locked onto her stroller, its red targeting beam glowing menacingly. Time seemed to slow down as Sarah watched the drone approach. Her heart pounded wildly in her chest, drowning out the sounds of panic around her. The drone was getting closer, closer, until it stopped abruptly, hovering just inches away from firing. Sarah's instincts screamed at her to run, but instead, she did something unexpected, something brave. With trembling hands, she stepped directly into the path of the drone, shielding Ethan's stroller with her body. Her legs shook beneath her and tears streamed down her cheeks, but she refused to move. If this was how it ended, if she had to sacrifice herself to save her son, then so be it. She closed her eyes, bracing for impact. But no blast came. Instead, the drone hovered silently for a moment before emitting a series of high-pitched beeps. Its lights flickered erratically, almost as if it were confused. Then, without warning, it ascended quickly and disappeared into the larger mothership looming overhead. The crowd watched in stunned silence, unsure of what had just happened. Some whispered theories about advanced technology malfunctioning. Others credited divine intervention. For Sarah, however, there was no time to dwell on miracles. She grabbed the stroller and ran, weaving through the panicked masses until she reached a quieter alleyway. There, hidden from prying eyes, she sank to her knees, clutching Ethan tightly. Her breathing came in ragged gasps, and her heart still hammered in her chest. What had just happened? Why had the drone spared her? Was it because of her actions? Or was there something else at play? Little did Sarah know, her bold move had set off a chain reaction that would change not only her life but also the fate of humanity itself. As she sat there cradling Ethan in her arms, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was about to begin. The alleyway where Sarah had taken refuge was dimly lit, the shadows cast by towering buildings stretching long across the cracked pavement. It smelled of dampness and decay, a stark reminder of how far she'd fallen since her old life. But none of that mattered now. All that mattered was Ethan, who lay peacefully asleep in his stroller, oblivious to the chaos that had unfolded moments earlier. Sarah's hands trembled as she adjusted the blanket around him, her mind replaying the scene over and over again. The drone, its glowing red targeting beam, and the inexplicable way it had hesitated before retreating. Her heart still raced, but exhaustion began to creep in. She leaned against the cold brick wall, her body sagging under the weight of everything she'd endured. The adrenaline rush from facing the alien drone was fading, leaving behind a deep sense of confusion and fear. Why had the drone stopped? Had it malfunctioned? Or had something else intervened? These questions swirled in her head, keeping her alert despite her fatigue. As she sat there trying to calm herself, Sarah noticed something unusual, a faint warmth emanating from her pocket. Frowning, she reached inside and pulled out a small object that hadn't been there before. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary coin, smooth and metallic, but as she turned it over in her hand, she realized it wasn't normal at all. The surface shimmered faintly, pulsing with a soft golden light. When she touched it, a jolt of warmth shot through her fingers, startling her. For a moment, she considered throwing it away. It felt too strange, too alien, but curiosity got the better of her. Sarah stared at the object, studying it closely. It didn't have any markings or symbols, yet it seemed alive somehow, vibrating gently in her palm. Tentatively, she closed her fingers around it and focused on the thoughts racing through her mind. What is this thing? Why did you give it to me? To her astonishment, the object responded. Images began flashing in her mind, stars swirling. In vast galaxies, planets with unfamiliar landscapes and sleek silver ships gliding silently through space. It was overwhelming, like watching a movie projected directly into her brain. At first, Sarah thought she was hallucinating, maybe even losing her grip on reality after everything that had happened. But the images felt real, vivid, and intentional. They weren't random scenes, they were messages, though their meaning wasn't immediately clear. As she continued to hold the object, another sensation washed over her, a feeling of connection, as if someone, or something, was reaching out to her. Her pulse quickened. Was this some kind of communication device? If so, who was trying to contact her? And why? Before she could dwell on these questions further, a voice echoed in her mind. It wasn't loud or intrusive, but rather calm and measured, speaking in perfect English. "You are chosen," it said. The words sent chills down Sarah's spine. Chosen for what? What did that even mean? Before she could form a coherent thought, the voice continued, explaining that Earth was under observation by multiple extraterrestrial factions. Some believed humanity was too destructive to coexist peacefully with other species, while others saw potential worth preserving. Sarah's selfless act earlier that day, stepping in front of the drone to protect Ethan, had proven them wrong. The revelation left Sarah reeling. She wasn't just a homeless mom trying to survive anymore. She was now a key player in an intergalactic conflict she barely understood. The enormity of the situation threatened to crush her. How could someone like her possibly make a difference? She had no power, no resources, nothing to offer except sheer determination and love for her son. Yet, here she was, holding a mysterious alien artifact and being told she was chosen. It sounded absurd, like something out of a science fiction movie. But deep down, she knew it was real. This was happening, whether she liked it or not. Over the next few hours, Sarah experimented cautiously with the object, discovering that it responded to her thoughts. When she focused on specific questions such as, "Why did you spare me?" or "What do you want?" the device projected holographic symbols and shapes that floated in the air before her. Though she couldn't decipher their exact meanings, she sensed they were clues pointing towards something greater. The more she interacted with the object, the more confident she became in using it. It granted her access to incredible abilities, such as cloaking herself from detection, communicating telepathically with others, and even manipulating small objects remotely. Each new discovery filled her with a mix of awe and dread. Despite her growing confidence, Sarah knew she couldn't face this alone. She needed help, but whom could she trust? Most people wouldn't believe her story, and those who did might see her as a threat. Still, she couldn't ignore the responsibility thrust upon her. Humanity's fate rested in her hands, whether she liked it or not. Determined to rise to the challenge, Sarah decided to seek out allies among the most unlikely group of people, the homeless community she'd come to know during her time on the streets. She ventured back into the city, navigating familiar alleys and hidden corners where others like her sought refuge. Along the way, she encountered faces she recognized, people who had shared scraps of food with her or offered words of encouragement when she felt hopeless. There was Marcus, a former mechanic whose skills with tools were unmatched. Maria, a nurse who had lost her license due to addiction but still possessed medical knowledge. And Jamal, a street artist with a knack for blending into crowds unnoticed. Though they came from different walks of life, they all shared one thing in common: resilience. They had survived against impossible odds, adapting to a world that often ignored their existence. When Sarah approached them with her story, she expected skepticism. Instead, she found willing ears. Perhaps it was because they, too, had experienced the harsh realities of being overlooked and dismissed by society. Or maybe it was because they saw the desperation in her eyes and recognized the truth in her words. Whatever the reason, they agreed to join her cause. Together, they formed an unconventional team, united by a shared goal: to uncover the aliens' true intentions and protect humanity from annihilation. Their first task was to gather information. Using the object's cloaking ability, Sarah infiltrated areas near the alien ships, observing their movements and documenting anything unusual. Meanwhile, Marcus scavenged parts from abandoned electronics to build makeshift devices capable of detecting alien signals. Maria used her medical expertise to treat injuries sustained during close encounters with drones, while Jamal painted murals depicting scenes of unity and hope, subtly spreading awareness about the alien presence without causing panic. As days turned into weeks, Sarah and her team uncovered fragments of a larger puzzle. They learned that the aliens weren't united in their mission. One faction sought peaceful coexistence, while another advocated for wiping out humanity entirely. The internal struggle among the extraterrestrials created an opportunity for Sarah to intervene. Guided by the object, she located a hidden alien outpost buried beneath the city. There she encountered a member of the peaceful faction, a tall, slender being with shimmering skin and luminous eyes. Through broken communication, the alien explained that their leader needed proof of humanity's potential for good. If Sarah failed to deliver convincing evidence within 3 days, the hostile faction would gain control, leading to Earth's annihilation. The weight of the responsibility pressed heavily on Sarah's shoulders. 3 days wasn't much time, but she refused to give up. With her newfound powers and the support of her ragtag team, she devised a plan to showcase humanity's capacity for compassion and unity. They organized acts of kindness across the city, capturing footage of people helping one another despite Their differences, from feeding the hungry to comforting the grieving, these moments served as a testament to humanity's inherent goodness. On the final day, as the clock ticked closer to midnight, Sarah stood atop a crumbling rooftop, holding the object aloft. Below her, thousands of people had gathered, inspired by her courage and determination. Cameras broadcast the scene globally, showcasing humanity's collective plea for survival. The alien leader appeared via hologram, addressing Sarah directly. He acknowledged her efforts and admitted that her actions had swayed his decision. Humanity would be given a second chance, but with conditions. Earth would remain under observation, and humanity would need to prove itself worthy of joining the galactic community. As the Star Destroyers ascended back into the heavens, Sarah felt a mixture of relief and responsibility. Though the immediate threat had passed, she knew the real work was just beginning. Armed with her experiences and alliances, she vowed to help rebuild her world, not just for Ethan's future, but for all of humanity. And so, a once homeless, Mother became Earth's unexpected hero, proving that even in the darkest times, one person's courage can light the way forward. The days following Sarah's encounter with the alien artifact were a whirlwind of discovery and fear. She had always believed that life was unpredictable, but nothing could have prepared her for what she was experiencing now. Every moment felt like walking on thin ice, uncertain, fragile, and fraught with danger. Yet despite the chaos swirling around her, Sarah found herself growing stronger. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her shoulders, but it also lit a fire within. She wasn't just fighting for Ethan anymore. She was fighting for humanity's survival. Sarah spent most nights huddled in abandoned subway tunnels, using them as both shelter and headquarters for her unlikely team. Marcus, Maria, Jamal, and a few others had become her closest allies, each bringing unique skills to the table. Together, they pieced together fragments of information about the aliens' technology and motives. The object, the mysterious coin-like device, remained their primary focus. It seemed to be the key to understanding the extraterrestrials' intentions, but unlocking its secrets required patience and experimentation. One evening, as rain poured outside, Sarah sat cross-legged on the cold concrete floor of the tunnel, cradling the glowing artifact in her hands. The soft hum emanating from it filled the silence, almost like a heartbeat. She closed her eyes and concentrated, trying to channel her thoughts into coherent questions. "Why are you here?" she whispered aloud. Instantly, the device responded by projecting holographic symbols into the air above her lap. They floated, lazily, shifting shapes and colors before dissolving into thin air. Though Sarah couldn't decipher their exact meanings, she sensed they held clues to something far greater than she could imagine. Maria knelt beside her, observing intently. "It's communicating," she said softly. "But we need a way to translate those symbols." Marcus chimed in from across the room where he was tinkering with an old laptop he'd salvaged. "If we can rig up a scanner or some kind of interface, maybe we can capture the patterns and analyze them." Jamal nodded enthusiastically. "And I can sketch what I see. Maybe the drawings will help us make sense of it." Their collaboration gave Sarah hope. For the first time in weeks, she felt less alone. These people, strangers turned comrades, had rallied around her without hesitation, proving that even in humanity's darkest hour, kindness and solidarity could shine through. With renewed determination, the group worked tirelessly, pooling their resources and creativity to unravel the mystery of the alien device. As they delved deeper into its capabilities, Sarah discovered more astonishing features. One night, while holding the artifact close, she accidentally triggered a vision, a vivid, immersive experience that transported her mind to another world. She saw sprawling cities built on floating platforms, rivers of liquid light flowing through valleys, and beings unlike anything she'd ever imagined. Their forms shimmered like reflections on water, constantly shifting between solid and ethereal states. They communicated not with words, but with emotions, waves of empathy, curiosity, and concern washing over her consciousness. When the vision ended, Sarah gasped, clutching her chest as if trying to steady her racing heart. Her teammates gathered around her, concern etched on their faces. "What happened?" Maria asked gently. I think I saw their home," Sarah stammered. "Or at least one of their worlds. It's beautiful, but also so different from ours." She paused, struggling to put her thoughts into words. "They're not all the same. Some of them want peace. Others don't." This revelation confirmed what they'd suspected earlier. The aliens weren't united in purpose. There were factions among them, locked in a silent battle over Earth's fate. The peaceful faction believed humanity deserved a chance to prove itself, while the hostile faction viewed humans as a threat that needed to be eliminated. This internal conflict complicated matters further, leaving Sarah and her team caught in the middle of an intergalactic power struggle. Determined to learn more, Sarah decided to take a risk. Using the artifact's cloaking ability, she ventured closer to the alien ships hovering above the city. Invisible to their sensors, she observed their movements, noting how smaller drones patrolled specific areas, while larger vessels remained stationary. Occasionally, beams of light shot down from the mothership, scanning buildings and streets below. Sarah realized these scans were gathering data, information about human behavior, infrastructure, and potential threats. Her reconnaissance mission paid off when she stumbled upon a hidden entrance to an underground facility. Hidden beneath layers of camouflage, it pulsed faintly with the same blue energy emitted by the Star Destroyers. Knowing this was likely an alien outpost, Sarah returned to her team and shared her findings. After much deliberation, they agreed to investigate further. Armed with makeshift tools and courage born out of desperation, they descended into the depths of the city, navigating dark tunnels until they reached the entrance. Inside, the air felt colder, tinged with an electric charge that made Sarah's skin prickle. The walls glowed faintly, casting an otherworldly light throughout the corridor. Strange symbols etched into the surfaces seemed to pulse rhythmically, as if alive. As they moved deeper, the group encountered their first alien, a tall, slender being with translucent skin that shimmered like opals, its large, luminous eyes fixed on Sarah, studying her intently. For a moment, no one moved. Then the alien raised a hand, palm facing outward in what appeared to be a gesture of peace. Slowly, it began emitting a series of melodic tones, accompanied by flashes of color emanating from its fingertips. Though the language was incomprehensible, Sarah understood the intent behind it. Reaching into her pocket, she pulled out the artifact and held it up. The alien's posture relaxed visibly and it stepped forward, touching the device lightly with one elongated finger. A surge of energy passed between them, creating a bridge of communication. Through fragmented images and emotions, Sarah learned that this particular alien belonged to the peaceful faction. It explained that their leader, a being known as Kalor, was undecided about humanity's fate. While Kalor recognized the destructive tendencies of humans, he also acknowledged their capacity for good. To sway his decision, Sarah would need to provide undeniable proof of humanity's worthiness. Time was running out. If Sarah failed to deliver convincing evidence within 3 days, the hostile faction would seize control, leading to Earth's annihilation. The stakes couldn't be higher, yet Sarah refused to give up. With her team by her side, she devised a plan to showcase humanity's best qualities: acts of kindness, resilience, and unity. They organized events across the city, capturing footage of ordinary people helping one another in extraordinary ways. From volunteers serving meals to the homeless, to strangers comforting grieving families, these moments served as a testament to humanity's inherent goodness. On the final day, as dawn broke over the horizon, Sarah stood atop a crumbling rooftop overlooking the city. Thousands of people had gathered below, inspired by her courage and determination. Cameras broadcast the scene globally, showcasing humanity's collective plea for survival. In her hand, she clutched the artifact, its golden glow brighter than ever. Above her, the alien ships descended ominously, casting long shadows across the crowd. Kalor appeared via hologram, addressing Sarah directly. His voice resonated deeply, echoing through the streets. "You have shown us your potential," he said. Your actions have proven that humanity is capable of change. We will grant you a second chance, but know this. Earth will remain under observation. Prove yourselves worthy, and perhaps one day you will join us among the stars. As the star destroyers ascended back into the heavens, Sarah felt a mixture of relief and responsibility. Though the immediate threat had passed, she knew the real work was just beginning. Armed with her experiences and alliances, she vowed to help rebuild her world, not just for Ethan's future, but for all of humanity. And so, a once homeless mother became Earth's unexpected hero, proving that even in the darkest times, one person's courage can light the way forward. The weight of responsibility that Sarah carried had grown heavier with each passing day. She wasn't just fighting for her son Ethan anymore. She was fighting for humanity's very existence. The alien leader Kalor's ultimatum loomed over her like a storm cloud, threatening to unleash destruction if she failed to deliver proof of humanity's worthiness within 3 days. 3 days didn't seem like much time to change the course of history, but Sarah refused to let fear paralyze her. Instead, she channeled it into action, determined to show the aliens and herself that humanity was capable of more than they gave it credit for. Sarah and her team gathered in their makeshift headquarters beneath the city, surrounded by salvaged equipment, scattered notes, and flickering candles. The air was thick with tension, yet there was also an undercurrent of hope. Each member brought something unique to the table, and together, they formed a bond stronger than any single one of them could achieve alone. Marcus tinkered with wires and circuits, trying to build a device capable of amplifying the artifact's signals. Maria patched up minor injuries sustained during their reconnaissance missions, her steady hands working tirelessly. Jamal sketched detailed observations of the alien symbols and movements, his artistic eye capturing nuances others might miss. And Sarah, she led them all, her quiet strength inspiring everyone around her. "We need to show them our best," Sarah said, pacing back and forth as the group huddled around a crude map of the city spread out on the floor. Not just random acts of kindness, but moments that represent what we're truly capable of when we come together. Jamal raised his hand hesitantly. "What about art? Art has always been a way humans express emotions and connect with each other. Maybe we can create something big, something visible from above." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "He's right. If we make something large enough, maybe the aliens will notice. Something symbolic, like a mural or a giant installation." Maria chimed in, her voice soft but firm. "And while we're doing that, we should document real-life examples of people helping each other. There are so many good things happening, every day, even in tough times. We just need to capture those moments and share them." Sarah smiled, feeling a spark of inspiration ignite within her. "That's it," she said. "We'll combine both ideas. We'll organize events across the city where people help each other, feeding the hungry, cleaning up neighborhoods, comforting those in need, and we'll film everything. Then, we'll create a massive piece of art that ties it all together, something that says this is who we are." With a plan in place, the group sprang into action. Jamal took charge of designing the artwork, sketching a massive mosaic made of colorful tiles that would spell out the word "Hope" in bold letters. Marcus and Maria worked on gathering materials, scavenging scraps of metal, plastic, and fabric from nearby construction sites and recycling centers. Meanwhile, Sarah used the artifact's cloaking ability to move undetected through the city, documenting acts of kindness wherever she found them. One afternoon, Sarah wandered into a park where volunteers were distributing food to the homeless. A young boy, no older than 10, stood beside his mother, handing out sandwiches with a shy smile. When he noticed Sarah watching, he approached her hesitantly. "Do you want one?" he asked, holding out a sandwich wrapped in foil. Touched by his generosity, Sarah knelt down to meet his gaze. "Thank you," she said softly. "You're doing something really special here." The boy beamed, his cheeks flushing with pride. Sarah pulled out her phone and snapped a photo, knowing this moment perfectly encapsulated the spirit of humanity she wanted to showcase. It wasn't grand gestures or heroic feats. It was simple, everyday acts of compassion that defined who they were. Over the next 2 days, similar scenes unfolded across the city. Strangers helped carry groceries for elderly neighbors. Volunteers cleaned graffiti off walls and planted flowers in empty lots. A group of musicians played uplifting songs in subway stations, drawing smiles from weary commuters. Everywhere Sarah went, she saw glimpses of humanity at its finest. With each act of kindness she captured on camera, her faith in her mission grew stronger. As night fell on the second day, the team gathered in an open field outside the city to assemble the final piece of their project, the Hope Mosaic. Dozens of volunteers joined them, eager to contribute. Together they pieced together the colorful tiles, working late into the night under the glow of portable lanterns. By dawn, the massive artwork stood complete, its vibrant colors shining brightly against the gray backdrop of the urban landscape. But Sarah knew the hardest part was yet to come. On the third and final day, she climbed atop a crumbling rooftop, overlooking the city, clutching the alien artifact tightly in her hand. Below her, thousands of people had gathered, inspired by her courage and determination. Cameras broadcast the scene globally, showcasing humanity's collective plea for survival. In the distance, the alien ships descended ominously, casting long shadows across the crowd. Kalor appeared via hologram, addressing Sarah directly. His voice resonated deeply, echoing through the streets. "You have shown us your potential," he said. "Your actions have proven that humanity is capable of change. We will grant you a second chance, but know this: Earth will remain under observation. Prove yourselves worthy, and perhaps one day you will join us among the stars." As the Star Destroyers ascended back into the heavens, Sarah felt a mixture of relief and responsibility. Though the immediate threat had passed, she knew the real work was just beginning. Armed with her experiences and alliances, she vowed to help rebuild her world, not just for Ethan's future, but for all of humanity. And so, a once homeless mother became Earth's unexpected hero, proving that even in the darkest times, one person's courage can light the way forward. Expanding further. After the aliens departed, Sarah didn't rest. She knew the battle wasn't over. Humanity had been given a second chance, but lasting change required effort. Inspired by the unity she'd witnessed during the 3-day challenge, Sarah decided to channel her newfound influence into creating lasting solutions. She partnered with local organizations to address homelessness, hunger, and environmental issues. Her team, Marcus, Maria, Jamal, and others, continued to support her, using their skills to amplify her efforts. Word of Sarah's story spread far and wide, turning her into a symbol of hope. People from all walks of life reached out, offering resources, expertise, and support. What started as a desperate attempt to save her son and her planet evolved into a global movement. Cities began implementing programs modeled after the initiatives Sarah and her team had spearheaded. Murals of hope popped up in neighborhoods worldwide, serving as reminders of humanity's capacity for goodness. For Sarah, the journey transformed her in ways she never imagined. No longer was she just a homeless mom struggling to survive. She was a leader, a visionary, and a beacon of resilience. Though challenges remained, she faced them head-on, knowing she wasn't alone. Humanity's flaws were undeniable, but so was its potential. And as long as people like Sarah existed, people willing to risk everything for the greater good, there was always hope for a brighter future. The days following the aliens' departure were a blur of activity for Sarah. The world had changed, and so had she. No longer was she just a homeless mother pushing a stroller through crowded streets. She had become a symbol of hope, resilience, and unity. Her story had spread like wildfire, inspiring millions around the globe. News outlets called her Earth's Guardian, while social media platforms buzzed with hashtags like "Use Hope Like Sarah" and "Use Humanity Rising." People from all corners of the planet reached out to thank her, share their own stories of kindness, or ask how they could help. But Sarah didn't let the attention go to her head. She knew better than anyone that humanity's second chance wasn't a free pass. It came with responsibility. The aliens had promised to observe Earth closely, waiting to see if humans would truly rise to the occasion. If they failed, The consequences would be dire. This knowledge weighed heavily on Sarah, but it also fueled her determination. She couldn't afford to rest. There was still so much work to do. With her team by her side, Marcus, Maria, Jamal, and others who had stood with her through thick and thin, Sarah launched what she called the Hope Initiative. It was more than just a movement. It was a call to action, urging people everywhere to embrace compassion, cooperation, and sustainability. The initiative focused on 3 key areas: addressing homelessness, combating hunger, and protecting the environment. These were issues Sarah understood intimately, having lived through them herself. She wanted to ensure no one else had to endure the hardships she and Ethan had faced. The first step was expanding the network of volunteers who had helped during the 3-day challenge. Sarah traveled across the country, speaking at community centers, schools, and town halls. Her speeches were simple yet powerful, drawing from her personal experiences to inspire action. "We've been given a second chance," she often said. "Let's not waste it. Let's show the universe and ourselves that we're capable of greatness." Her words resonated deeply with audiences. People listened, not because she was famous, but because she spoke from the heart. They saw themselves in her. A single mom struggling to make ends meet, a woman who had risked everything to protect her child, an ordinary person thrust into extraordinary circumstances. Her vulnerability made her relatable, and her courage gave them hope. As the Hope Initiative gained momentum, communities began implementing programs modeled after Sarah's efforts. In New York City, volunteers transformed abandoned lots into community gardens where fresh produce was grown and distributed to local shelters. In Los Angeles, artists painted murals of hope and unity on walls that had once been covered in graffiti. In rural villages halfway across the world, families built solar-powered water filtration systems using instructions shared online by engineers inspired by Sarah's story. One of the most impactful projects was the creation of Hope Hubs, SAFE, spaces designed to provide shelter, food, medical care, and education to those in need. Sarah partnered with local governments, nonprofits, and private donors to fund these hubs, ensuring they were accessible to everyone. Each hub featured a large mural of the word hope, serving as a constant reminder of humanity's potential for good. Within months, dozens of hubs sprang up worldwide, becoming beacons of support and solidarity. Despite the progress, challenges remained. Not everyone believed in Sarah's vision. Some critics dismissed her as naive, arguing that systemic problems like poverty and climate change couldn't be solved by goodwill alone. Others accused her of seeking fame or fortune, though anyone who knew her would laugh at the idea. Sarah lived modestly, choosing to focus her energy on helping others rather than accumulating wealth. She continued to sleep in humble accommodations, eat simple meals, and wear clothes donated by supporters. Her only luxury was time spent with Ethan, whose laughter reminded her why she fought so hard. There were moments when doubt crept in. Late at night, when the world grew quiet and the weight of her responsibilities felt unbearable, Sarah wondered if she was doing enough. Could one person really make a difference? What if humanity reverted to its old ways once the initial excitement faded? During these times, she turned to the alien artifact for guidance. Though it no longer projected holograms or emitted glowing lights, holding it brought her comfort. It reminded her of the incredible journey she'd been on, and the lives she'd touched along the way. One evening, as Sarah sat on a park bench watching Ethan play with other children, she received an unexpected visitor. A shimmering figure materialized before her, the same alien she had encountered in the underground facility weeks earlier. Its opalescent skin glowed softly in the fading sunlight, and its luminous eyes studied her intently. "You have done well," the alien said, its melodic voice carrying a note of approval. "Your actions have inspired many. Kaylor is pleased." Sarah blinked, unsure whether she was dreaming. "Is this real?" she asked hesitantly. The alien nodded. "Yes. We have come to observe your progress firsthand. The changes you have initiated are significant. Humanity is beginning to understand its role in the greater cosmos. A wave of relief washed over Sarah, followed by a surge of pride. All her sacrifices, all her struggles, they hadn't been in vain. Humanity was proving itself worthy, not perfect, but trying. That was enough for now. "What happens next?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Will you stay? Or leave us again?" The alien tilted its head as if considering the question. "Our presence here is temporary. However, we will continue to monitor your progress. Should you falter, we will intervene. But should you succeed..." It paused, letting the implication hang in the air. "Then perhaps one day humanity will join us among the stars." Before Sarah could respond, the alien raised a hand in farewell and vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. For a moment, she simply stared at the empty space where it had stood, processing what had just happened. Then, shaking off her awe, she returned to Ethan, scooping him up in her arms and planting a kiss on his forehead. "Did you see that, buddy?" she whispered, smiling despite the tears welling in her eyes. "We did it. We showed them what we're made of." Ethan giggled, oblivious to the magnitude of the moment. To him, his mom was just mom, a source of love, safety, and endless cuddles. And that was exactly how Sarah wanted it. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she vowed to keep fighting. For Ethan, for humanity, and for the future they deserved. In the months and years that followed, Sarah became more than a symbol of hope. She became a catalyst for change. The Hope Initiative expanded globally, tackling issues ranging from education reform to renewable energy development. Scientists, activists, and leaders from every field joined forces, united by a shared vision of a better world. Murals of hope adorned cities worldwide, each one telling a story of resilience and unity. Meanwhile, Sarah remained grounded, focusing on raising Ethan and mentoring young changemakers eager to follow in her footsteps. She often told them, "You don't need superpowers to make a difference. You just need courage, compassion, and a willingness to try." And try they did. Slowly but surely, humanity began to heal. Old wounds were mended, new bridges were built, and dreams once thought impossible became reality. The aliens watched, silently from afar, their ships occasionally visible in the night sky. A gentle reminder that Earth was never truly alone. For Sarah, the journey had come full circle. From a homeless mom desperate to protect her son to a global leader inspiring millions. She had proven that even in the darkest times, one person's courage could light the way forward. As she looked up at the stars, holding Ethan's hand tightly, she allowed herself a moment of quiet gratitude. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but together, humanity was ready to face whatever came next. Because hope, after all, was stronger than fear.